have a special guest in our Time to ME webinar today. To be in the community like you, everything we are trying to do is making better version of ourselves through nutrition, fitness, coaching, business coaching, and wellness webinar like this to shine in the darkness, like this crisis, and to be a butterfly and release that beauty to this world. Beauty of passion, beauty of health, and beauty of financial freedom. Marie is a life coach, teacher, and motivational speaker and founder of GrowU, who has so many contributions to her community. And she's a wonderful mother and a human being. Let me introduce to my dear friend, Marie Adell.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. What do you do, and what is your business, and how can people reach you? Introduce yourself a little bit, please.
Yeah, so I'm Marie Adell, and my background originally is in teaching, and I have over 20 years of experience in working with students in education. Most of that has been in early childhood, birth through age 7. And also I've taught language. I've worked with students with special needs. That is one of my degrees. I have 4 different degrees in education and in child development and child psychology. And I've just decided at some point that, with all of the knowledge that I have in the brain development and how the psyche works, that I could actually also, use that with adults as well. And so I used to have people come to me all the time for advice and, asking what should I do for this or for that. And I thought, wow, maybe I can do something with this. And so began my foray into life coaching. And I like to say rather growth coaching, because life, we live life already. So, but what we want to do is grow. And that's where GrowU came from, the name of my company, because I feel it's, we're on this planet to connect and to grow and to help each other to grow.
Wonderful, wonderful piece. I love that word, name that you choose, GrowU, and it's an inspirational word itself. So that's awesome. And when do you think, when was the eye-opening moment you had? When do you think you have to do this for the community that you're living in?
Well, I lived overseas for almost 10 years. And during that time, I had the opportunity to take part in so many different personal growth courses, as well as, professional in teaching. And I started, really public speaking in the format of empowerment and empowering other people. My daughter calls me a motivational speaker, not a motivational speaker, because, she just kind of messed up the words a little bit, but I like it even better. Yeah, because it's like a call to action, like move, movement, motivational.
There you go. I love it.
So I just, was able to take part in many different yoga classes and many different breathing classes, and a lot of personal growth classes, for myself and for other people, Ayurvedic medicine, learning about chakras, just all different kinds of things, and nutrition, just everything, mind, body, soul, to help me personally to move forward, and also the tools to help other people move forward as well. And, you know, when I came back here to the US, it wasn't intended when I came back. And at the same time, I'm here. And so with COVID, I thought, you know, here's my chance now. So I'm going to, you know, I have my own coaches that I use too. I firmly believe in coaches to be able to help you to, you know, move forward in anything that you do. And I have my own coaches that are, you know, helping me, and they only work with people who are people who want to empower others and to make change in other people's lives. And that's the way I view myself, is, you know, I want to help other people to see where they're at and tell me where they need to go, and then I will help them with their permission to get there.
Absolutely. Awesome. So are you also doing regular 9 to 5 job before this COVID, or you just started?
Yes, yeah. And now that I have started, you know, kind of full on with the coaching, that's starting to really take off. And it's amazing to me, because I wasn't online before with it before. So now, you know, it's like in a whole different format. And I love that it opens me up to, you know, anybody and everybody, wherever they are, not just in my local community. So I was, you know, really grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Right now, this internet is amazing. You can
Yes.
be friend in so very quick, in a very short time.
Yeah,
and
and
that's
I met
how
you.
I met. Yes.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what do you think you are, something that you are proud of?
Something that I'm always proud of my daughter, of course. I mean, she means so much to me, and there's things that I have done for her personally, for myself, that I was not able to do for myself before her. So I think that, you know, kids, they're like the backbone of us. They, you know, make us do things that, and be things that we never were before. They make us the people that they need us to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. So motherhood, to me also, motherhood teach me so many things, you know, that I wouldn't imagine without my baby, you know. I wouldn't imagine that I would learn without him. So yeah, absolutely. Motherhood is like a blessing. So who is your coach that you can reach when you feel so demotivated? Because, you know, life coach is somebody that you kind of see the people who need you the most in their trauma, in their depression, anxiety, you know, you name it. So how do you keep going? How do you keep moving?
Yeah, me personally, well, I'm an active part of the yoga community. And so, you know, just movement and exercise, eating well. And then also my husband too, like I can talk to him about anything. And he has a very unique perspective on life. And, you know, when I share things with him, he really, you know, kind of thinks deeply about it, and, you know, has just always an interesting response that helps to make me see things from a different light. And in general, I view myself as a pretty positive person. When life comes at me, I'm able to, you know, think about it and really just kind of breathe and be in it and move past it. And at the same time, I'm also human, you know, and I need people too. So those are the things that keep me going.
Awesome. Wonderful. And what advice would you give to those who are ready to start their business, especially right now, so many information going on, so many confusion, you know, you are stuck in one place because of this negativity going on around us. You know, what piece of advice would you give it to the, you know, people who really want to start a business like yours?
Mm-hmm. I would say, just go for it. I mean, it's one thing that's happening to you in your life. It's one event. And whether you're successful at this one or at the next one or at the next one, you'll never know unless you try. And,
Absolutely.
you're going to hear no all the time. No, absolutely. Like, you hear so many no's. People aren't ready for you. And that's okay too. The right people, you'll find the right people, and, they will need you.
Right. World need us right now
Yes.
than ever. So great. And what inspire you to get motivated when you feel like so low? I know you mentioned that before you reach out to your husband, and but any coaches or anybody that you reach out to when you feel low and kind of anxiety mode, any panicking mode, because we are human, right? We go through the
Yes.
phases and we cannot be happy all the time. There is
Yes.
time where we need somebody, so who will be the person, or what will you do besides your husband?
Well, like I mentioned, I also have coaches, and one of the coaches is an accountability coach. So they're like the two main coaches that I work with. And then they have an accountability coach as well. And he is actually kind of like a spiritual advisor as well. And so, like, if I am having a mental block, or if I'm, having challenges with something, he's really great about, again, also putting things in a certain perspective and showing me a different way to kind of gently guide me through it and out of my, state of like, I can't do this. I mean, I always know I can do it. And at the same time, it's still, you get like this wall that goes up inside your brain sometimes.
Absolutely.
And you're just fighting it, and so he particularly has helped me out of that situation.
Wonderful. Yeah, you need that accountability person, to keep going. Absolutely. Awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful. And what do you do? What is your self-care resume as a life coach? What do you do in the morning? How do you kick your day? How do you start your day?
Yeah, so it starts with perspiration, meditation, and communication. And I use those to, like, I do my yoga in the morning and or a workout, and then I do my meditation and like sit and just be for a while. And then like communication, like writing, doing some like a piece of gratitude or challenges, or some kind of and also inspiration as well too, like listening to like a podcast or reading a book, so that's kind of like my hour block in the morning is perspiration, meditation, motivation, and inspiration. Communication, inspiration, and communication.
Awesome. Wonderful. You have a system, huh?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And what topic do you have for us today?
So I am going to be speaking with you about the health and mental health specifically of our children.
Sure.
During especially times of crisis.
Absolutely. Yeah, stage is yours. Take it away.
Okay, I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to be sharing with you. Let me know if you can see that, please.
Sure.
Yeah. Can you see it right now?
No.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me get out of that. It would help if I would share the screen. There we go. Now can we see it?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So supporting our children in the pandemic and after. Our children have a different form of communication. They are not necessarily able to tell us, Mom, Dad, I'm scared, I am frightened, I am, upset, I am angry. When they're young, they just don't have these words. And I would argue even as adults, sometimes we don't have these words. And so how can we expect children, to have this ability to be able to communicate as well? So instead, our communication from our children, what does it look like? Well, it can be crankiness. They can just not be able to settle down. They can have full-on, we call them meltdowns, where they're kicking and screaming, and maybe for a very prolonged period of time, sometimes, 20, 30, 45 minutes. I've heard from families that their child will have these big, huge meltdowns. Also, screaming back at you, just yelling, screaming, not being able to use a calm voice, not listening. And I put that in quotation marks for a reason. We'll come back to that after we go all the way through the list. Talking back. They might have stomach aches, oh, my tummy hurts. They might have headaches. They'll be a little whiny, using a different tone of voice, tearful, and you're not sure, like there's nothing physically wrong with them. There's, you're not sure why they're crying. They're just very clingy and uncooperative. They don't want to do anything that you're asking them to do. And so when we go back to, meltdowns, children, they feel feelings very big. It's just a massive feeling that, wells up inside of them. And when you're not able to express that verbally, it comes out in anger. And I saw the most apt likening of this the other day on the internet, where a teacher was comparing a student who is melting down and what we would do to support them to the riots that are happening. And they're like, well, why are people tearing things apart? Well, because they're angry and they don't know how to express things. And so this is how we in stages of development, we start very first with receiving input into our brain in the back of our skull. And that is where we first start receiving input through our brain stem. And that is our fight or flight response. And when a child is in meltdown mode, they are not able to access any of the other parts of their brain. And that's important because your logic and reasoning part of your brain is up in here. That is where your brainstem goes to. So if you're back here in fight or flight, you are not able to think past that place into logic and reasoning. You just get frozen in time right there. And you're unable to sometimes even hear what is coming into you from other people. So your whole system, your body's trying to protect you, your brain's trying to protect you, and you just shut right down. So it doesn't matter if you're telling your child, stop that, don't do that, like whatever you're telling them, they are not able to hear you necessarily when they're in meltdown mode. Mm-hmm. And also too, added to that, if you're trying to say something to them in a negative way, which is like, don't do that or stop screaming, they aren't able to hear like the first part of what you're saying. They're only able to hear the second part. So if you're saying stop screaming, all they're hearing is screaming, and they just continue to scream. So, wow. You have to say calm, and in a calm tone of voice. Or if, they need to kick and scream, then you say, okay, it's okay to be angry. I'm going to sit over here. When you're done kicking and screaming, I'm here for you. Just let them know that you're there for them. That's all that they need. Because I know sometimes it's tempting because your brain goes into fight or flight when your child is kicking and screaming, and your nerves feel so jangled and you get so anxious, you just want to make it stop. Mm-hmm. And you might put them in their bedroom, or you might, say, go to your room. I don't want to hear it. Well, when our children are left alone with their emotions and they aren't able to deal with them, they just stuff them down inside of themselves. Mm-hmm. And that creates adults who are not able to emotionally express themselves. Mm-hmm. So if we're able to catch it at the source and help our children to do this, which also requires that we are mentally healthy in order to be able to do that, then we need to be able to understand how to empathize with them when they are in that situation. Our children are not giving us a hard time, they are having a hard time. And we are their role model in order to be able to help them with that. So that's my take on that situation.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love it.
So again, children aren't able to tell us with their big emotions because they've only been on this planet for a short period of time, and they don't have those words and that ability to be able to think in their frontal cortex, which is the logic and reasoning part of the brain, because that doesn't fully develop until we're about 26 years of age. So think about that.
That's something.
Yeah, we're asking a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old even, or even a teenager. Mm-hmm. We're asking them to stop and think about things when they're actually not quite developmentally able to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's, wow. I want to repeat that one more time. We do not finish developing that part of our brain, that logic and reasoning part of our brain, until we're about 26 years of age. And if you've had trauma in your life, sometimes it doesn't develop at all completely. Like you stay stuck in that trauma because your neurons in your brain, as they're developing, you develop these patterns of thought in your brain. And the more you think about something, the more those synapses and dendrites in your brain grow and grow and grow around those thoughts and those ideas. And so if you have trouble with your emotions and your thinking around calm, logical, empathetic thinking, because you've had trauma, you've built a massive tree trunk of negative, thinking around these thoughts of like how to handle yourself emotionally. And then when it comes to dealing with those situations, you just keep reaffirming that over and over again and building those connections over and over again in that negative thought pattern. So the opposite is also true. There's hope because you can begin the process of undoing those gnarled roots and let yourself start to think in a positive way and exercise the positive thinking, and you'll unsnarl the negative and begin to grow more strong roots around the positive thinking until your brain is filled with that kind of thought.
Right.
So we're not hopeless situation. We can grow you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And word is a healer. Whenever you find that hard situation for yourself and your child, because just like you mentioned, whenever you are in stress, you put it on them, so you put your negative emotions on them, so they grasp that negativity from you and they react, so it's you that you're teaching them, how to react, how to deal with your emotions, negative emotions. So to me, whenever they are in that negative emotions, I just bring them in and then ask what's going on. It's okay calm down. So
Yeah.
calming down for myself first and then him,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it goes hand in hand.
It's like when you're on an airplane and, when they're giving you the instructions, if the plane, something should happen, what do they tell you to do first? They tell you to put on your mask first before you put it
Yes,
on your child,
absolutely.
because you need to be able to have that oxygen,
To
that
be able to help.
ability to
Absolutely.
breathe, to be able to help. So if you don't have that yourself, then it's very difficult to be able to help your child as well. And there's no blame here. Like, there's no blame. Like, sometimes we don't even realize that we're in these patterns. The first step is that acknowledgement that, yes, I need some help, to be able to respond in the proper way to my children. Because oftentimes, we're just trying to get by in our day-to-day lives, and we have a lot of stress that's coming in for us too. And sometimes we get trapped in those patterns of thinking. And at
Right.
the same time, if we want to support our children, we first need to put the mask on ourselves.
Right.
So why are our children doing this? Why are they acting this way? Again, their feelings can be just too big for them. Their brain is not developmentally ready to be able to handle these situations. And that's why it's important for us to be calm and to teach them the appropriate way to react, because we model it, not because we tell them what to do, but because we ourselves are modeling what to do. We are modeling the calm. We are modeling that, strong behavior, so that they are able to see, I will be okay. I'm not in this moment, but I will be okay. Mm-hmm. And also they can have fear, and they're not able to control that fear. No control over their environment. Children, they were just brought into this world. They don't have a choice about where they live or what they wear necessarily, or what they eat, or where they're going. No control over their schedule. Oftentimes we just say, oh, we're going here or we're going there. And we don't give them any warning or any time about where we're going or what we're doing. We just say, this is what we're doing. They don't get a choice in it. So imagine if you woke up and someone got out your clothes and told you what to wear every day, and picked the food that you ate every single time, whether it was what you wanted or not, and told you to, do all of these things, and maybe you don't feel like doing them right now. Maybe you wanted to do them later.
We
And then
become
told you,
prisoner.
yeah, you need to
Yes.
get in the car, and you need to, we're going to this place, and oh, I forgot to, bring something to entertain you, so you just got to sit here and sit still and don't talk because I'm busy. And so just kind of think about that, and think about what you might be able to do to kind of fix those kinds of things. Too much adult talk. Kids hear everything. We think that they don't, and we think they don't understand. But babies at a very, very early age, they can understand what we are saying and our intent. And at about age 1.5, 2 years of age, they're understanding almost everything that we're saying, even though they're not able to respond in kind with the same kinds of words that we are using. So developmentally, they're able to understand so much more than we think that they are able to, and they hear everything. So you have to be so careful about what you say in front of them. Mm-hmm. Also feeling adult vibes. And, you mentioned this, Sophia, you said, they can kind of feel what's coming from us. So we don't have to say a word. Kids are masters at reading body language and reading our vibes that come from us. It's our vibration.
Nonverbal, yeah.
Yes,
all
yeah.
nonverbal.
Yeah, it's our vibration as human beings. We all have a vibration in us. And, the the lower our emotions are, the lower the vibration. And the higher our emotions are, like the happy, the joyful, whatever, that puts out a different frequency out of our bodies. And so kids they're super sensitive to understanding these frequencies because they're so attuned into people and into reading our body language. So we don't even have to say a word and they know, and they can respond immediately to how we're feeling as well. And it doesn't mean that we have to hide our feelings from them. We can talk about our feelings in a developmentally appropriate way to help them through that. Also an abrupt stopping, many of our children were in childcare or in school, and all of a sudden, boom, just the next day they're not. And that creates trauma in and of itself because they had this routine, they had this schedule, and all of a sudden it's yanked away from them.
Right.
And they've no way to express their sorrow or their disappointment or they're upset about this other than to have meltdowns or tantrums or maybe withdraw. Maybe your child seems like they're depressed rather than acting out, So we just need to be conscious of this and have developmentally appropriate conversations around this. There's so many resources online talking about, COVID and what's happening and, why we aren't at school and why we need to be careful.
Yeah, talk with them.
Yes, but it's also important for children to understand too that they're going to be safe and that we are there to take care of them. They don't have to worry about that. You are safe. I am here. I will take care of you. Nothing will happen to you. Absolutely. And they need to know that. And also, no warning about starting. No warning about starting up daycare or school or childcare again. So we need to talk with them and let them know that these things are happening and what we are doing to keep them safe in those environments and what their teachers are going to be doing to keep them safe in those environments, because there's going to be a lot of behaviors, a lot of anxiety, a lot of feelings around going back to those situations. Even though they miss them, now they've been away from them for so long, and now they're headed back into it. So we need to kind of help them to go back into those situations as well.
And we should be able to kind of breathe the emotion, before and after joining back again their daycare, or like why we are not able to go, kind of reason, explain them why this is happening.
In a developmentally appropriate way, not in a grown-up way. That's the other thing too. Like there are so many resources, like if you look online, that can support you in the language around that. So, which leads right into my next slide. How can we support them? Speak to them intelligently. They understand so much more than we give them credit for. So just speak to them just as I'm speaking to you right now. We treat children in the manner in which we want them to become, and we speak to them in who we want them to be. And so if we treat them like they are intelligent, capable human beings, then that is what they will become.
Right, absolutely.
If you expect,
if you treat them, if you trust them, and they will trust you back. That's the way you teach them to trust you back. If you don't trust them and if you keep on doubting about whatever they are expressing, they can hear that, they can feel it, and they will not trust you.
And they won't trust you, and they also won't trust themselves.
Yes. So it's a learning process. You have to be a role model for your children.
Yes. And again, we are all human. So if you have not been doing that up to this point, or you feel like you are, you do it sometimes and not all the time, there's no guilt, there's no shame. We're all humans. I have a massive education and background behind me in child development, and even I mess up sometimes. So that goes down like to the next one. Acknowledge their feelings, like how they're feeling, and say, you seem upset. You don't have to label like what feeling that it is. They might say, I'm not upset, I'm this, or, you know, they might say, I'm angry or whatever. Well, yes, that, you know, that's upset. Yeah, angry is upset. It's okay to be angry. You know, it's okay to be angry. If they're hitting, it's not okay to hit. You can be angry. It's not okay to hit.
Right.
You know, you can kick and scream and lay there all you want by yourself. You may not kick or hit mama. You may not kick or hit daddy. You know, that kind of a thing. So just
the way to express. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, be supportive in that. You know, help them to label their feelings, help them to label their emotions, and that builds emotional intelligence. And even in yourself, you know, stop and think in the moment, how do I feel about this? Because sometimes we're so numb about things because we just have stuffed everything down inside of us. We can maybe not even be able to label our own emotions. Mm-hmm. So this is all, it's just a journey in life. That's all we're on. And every opportunity that we have, every interaction that we have, just provides some learning for us. And whether we're open to the lesson or not, you know, tells us where we're at in the journey and how we can move on in it. So no guilt, no shame. Right. Model kindness for your child. Model that caring aspect of it. Just be as caring as you can. And forgiveness, you know, if you're upset with your spouse, show your child how you guys have repaired that relationship. Right. If, you know, they're, if, you know, your child has done something, if they've, like my daughter, she took a pair of blunt scissors and scratched up my leather couch that we just got, you know, a couple of years ago.
You are
and
not
I'm
alone.
Thinking in my head, like, oh, why? So I just took a deep breath and I just said, oh, honey, you know, what are you going to do to make good? How can you fix this? You know, and just, I said, I forgive you. It's okay. What can you do to fix this? So it's not about just saying like, oh, it's fine, they can do whatever they want. You know, we read this book. It's by Cynthia Rylant. I'm trying to think of like the actual title of it, but it's a little girl and her dog, and it's something make good is what it is. Brownie and Pearl. Brownie and Pearl is what it is.
Okay.
Yes. So the Brownie and Pearl series, I love those books so much. If you have them, check them out at your library. It's called Brownie and Pearl Make Good. And I can't even tell you how many times I've used that phrase with her. Wow. And also apology, you know, if you have flown off on your child and you are, you know, have used your angry voice and have, you know, lost your temper, just model and say, I'm sorry. You know, I'm just a human being. I apologize for doing that, and I will try to do better next time. And, you know, just mean it. Just try and do better every time. And that's all that we can ask of ourselves and of our children. So, you know, and if I'm sorry gets stuck in your throat, maybe that's something that's a block from when you were a child. People in your life weren't able to say, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's something to look at for yourself. Resilience. Children are incredibly resilient, and there's so many resources out there to help us to build our children's resilience. So you can look some of those up as well. Listen, just simply listen without responding. Just mm-hmm. listen, you know, to what your child is saying. And if they ask you a question, you can respond. Otherwise, just listen. Don't offer advice. Don't, you know, you can ask them like, are you telling me this because you want me to give you advice? Are you telling me this because you want me to listen? Or are you telling me because you need help? So those Absolutely. Are 3 things that we can ask our children once they get a little bit older, not when they're 3 years old, of course, and not in the middle of a meltdown. Share the schedule. Share your daily schedule with them, your weekly schedule. Let them know, like, this is going to happen then. And mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then if you do it, like I do it on a big desk calendar, and my daughter is able to now read. And so she can go onto the schedule and she writes things on there in her words and her way that she writes. And then also I write things on there. So that way she knows what is happening.
And she is 9 years old, right?
She's 7.
7, yes. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah,
awesome.
And I've just done that for so long that she automatically knows now, like, to go to the calendar and
it's
check
a training. Yes.
Yes. And prepare ahead. You know, if we know that this is a difficult situation that our children are headed into, think about like how we mentally might be able to go through that process. And sometimes when we're headed into something difficult, we can say out loud to our children the steps that we're going through on how we are mentally preparing ourselves to go into that. And sometimes if we haven't done that before, it's a good thing to start, you know, just prepare yourself. Okay, I need to go and talk to this person about this really difficult situation. This is what I'm going to do, X, Y, Z, and either write it down or, you know, just kind of practice it before you go. That's good modeling for your children. And grace. I always say give yourself an abundance of grace, because again, we're all just on a journey here. We're all just here living on earth.
Experimenting.
We're here,
yes.
Yeah, we're here to support each other. It's a difficult journey sometimes. And, you know, we just need to have an abundance of grace with ourselves and that voice that lives in our head.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Some resources. One of my very, 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 very favorite authors is L.R. Nost. And she's the second one on the list. And she's just an amazing human being. She's actually very ill right now. And I send her all the love and support that she could need. She has very young children as well, and she has some older children too. And she is just such a graceful mother and has such inspirational things around motherhood. And, you know, you asked me earlier, Sophia, like, who are some of my coaches that I go to when I'm having a hard time?
Right.
Like, as a parent, I go to these coaches: Janet Lansbury, L.R. Nost, Elizabeth Pantley, Stuart Shankar, Alfie Kohn. You know, those are the people that I read over and over again, and I reach out to over and over again through books, through online resources, to help me to be a better parent. And
I would
also
love to be in touch with them also.
Yeah. So, and the other thing too is, you know, please reach out to me. I am a life coach, and I do offer programs, not only, you know, for children to help you to become the kind of parent that you would like to be, more patient, more kind. You know, that's, I call myself like the patience fairy. I'm always practicing at that myself, and I can also, you know, guide you in that practice as well. And also for yourself, you know, you probably have been through a lot of trauma too. And if you have, and like people are like, well, you know, I've just been through stuff in my life. They just think it's just stuff, you know, mental abuse or physical abuse, or, you know, well, that wasn't abuse, or was it? You know, you might not even be able to label that yourself, but you might feel anxious, or you might feel fearful, or you might feel, you know, anger, like you're quick to anger and you don't know why you're that way. Well, chances are you've had some trauma in your life, and I, you know, can help you. I work with women primarily who are feeling stuck in their life. They're just not able to move forward. So reach out to me, and I am guaranteed to have something for you that can help you to get your mojo back.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful resources. I am just grasping everything, and your coaches, I probably have to reach out to them also. I love, you know, child care, child development is something that very core to my heart. You know, I have very soft corner in my heart for my children, for every children. I can reach out to. So that's exactly what we are trying to do from this webinar, Time to Be Me, webinar also, to help millions and millions of children out there, especially in third world country, where, you know, we are teaching them how to eat right, healthy, nutritious food, and making their career, you know, from the beginning. So, I am it's such a blessing, such an honor to welcome you in my show like this. And I learned a lot from you, Mary, and I think our friendship is very new, but I'm so happy that we've been able to do this to make it possible. So thank you so much from my bottom of my heart. And I look forward to learn more from you for sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on here. And, I would just say to anyone who is watching, you are light, you are love, and you are life. And that's all. It doesn't matter like what's happening inside of your head. Just, that's it. We are all love, we are all light, and we are all life, and we're just here on a journey. And Sophia, I'm so glad that our paths have met, and that you invited me on. And I encourage anybody to reach out that is in need of any resources and help, and also to continue to watch your webinar, Time to Be Me, and learn from all of the other guests that are on as well.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to introduce all my guests. And thank you so much again to be part of this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.